Bonsai. And by the way, it's pronounced Bonsai, not Bonsai, but I always slip back into it because I'm from Brooklyn. So, urban bonsai is trees that grow in the urban environment all around us. I know, Rich, you know a little bit about bonsai. You know it's kind of expensive, right? I would say that I have this tree up in its raw form for $450. It cost me nothing. It cost me nothing. And it's a $450 tree. I can tell you where this is from. It's from West Seattle. It was planted in a hedge by a guy named David Bruner, a doctor, an orthopedist. He made this hedge of these things. As you can imagine, they kind of look like crap, so you don't necessarily want them as a hedge. They also lose all their needles in the winter, so it looks really ugly. So what happened was, this was planted in 1971. Mark and Alicia, 1971, West Seattle. Here's the synopsis. An orthopedist planted this West Seattle in 1971. That's all I've said so far. Okay, so he takes it out. We pot them. We get them going like this. This is a Japanese larch. So it's a Larix japonica. It's common to the high altitude and mid altitude regions of Japan. That spine of the mountains that goes up and down Japan. It's a valuable timber tree in Japan. And in here, I don't know what we use it for here. Anybody familiar with the Sierra Nevada mountains? Here, there's people who've been to the Sierra Nevadas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this tree from 1971 look like a really old tree. Just like you see in Kit Carson Pass, Tioga Pass, up above Truckee, you know. What I'm not going to make it look like is what you're used to in the Cascades here. In the Cascades, we have very pointy, very narrow trees. The reason we have those here is snow loads. It snows like mad here, and in the drier sides of the Sierras, it doesn't snow quite so much. Also, wet snow here, powder down there, the trees tend to like kind of shrug it off a lot easier. The goal of bonsai, right, is to have a three-dimensional, living, dynamic sculpture that you can enjoy in the changes of the season. This is spring, right? These nice little green florets. If I fertilize it correctly, we'll get these ultimately cool little conifer flowers. They're these dangling red bundles of pistils. Let's not get into botany. Anyway, it looks awesome in the spring. In the fall, it turns golden yellow. It's really, really bright, really vibrant. And then in the winter, it drops every single needle, freaks beginners out. Cannot begin to tell you, my tree died. Didn't die. It's a deciduous conifer, super rare, actually, in the field of conifers. And you'll enjoy this all year round. What I'm going to do with this tree is I'm going to donate it to the Jigsaw Renaissance. I'm going to put it up on the Northwest Bonsai auction, give the proceeds to Jigsaw Renaissance. This is a really expensive Japanese pot. It's a little larger than this tree's going to need. But once this tree is potted and complete, and it's got my name on it, it'll definitely go for about $1,000 to $1,500 on the auction. So that'll be great fun. And I want to point out to you, I paid nothing for this. I paid $0 for this tree. This I got at a Craigslist auction for $5. This is like a $300 pot. So, oh, by the way, so many nerds here. Put a Google alert on the city-specific Craigslist for big West Coast cities. They're indexed every 30 minutes by Google, and you get the first shot on the alert every time. It's worked for me 4 times. So I've gotten like estate sales before. I know, Beth says I use technology to take advantage of the dead. But, you know.
I think that was your phrase.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about myself and how I got interested in this. I used to do karate with a very, very nice merchant marine when I was a young kid in New York City named Tommy McCormick. And Tommy had a Japanese teacher, taught him judo, Takahashi Shina. Shina had bonsai. I never had some. Me and Tommy actually saw the Karate Kid together. We got a huge kick out of it. A huge kick. I thought the little trees were cool, and I went and bothered a tiny little Japanese man named Kazuo Fuji at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens, and he said to me, no. I was like, okay. I go back and tell this to Tommy. Tommy says, yeah, you gotta ask him again. He says, trust me, you gotta go ask him again. I went back, asked him again, can I help you? Can I, do anything? No. Told Tommy, he said, no, you gotta go back. No, just like the Karate Kid. I swear to God, Kazuha handed me a broom. For about 6 months, I swept. I swept up underneath the finest bonsai collection in the United States for 6 months. He finally gave me trees to work on. I thought when he did give me trees to work on after 6 months that these were the greatest trees in the world and that I was the luckiest apprentice that ever lived. As I figured shit out, I realized he gave me the crappiest trees in the world to work on and that he wasn't afraid if I screwed them up. So I told the funny story before, is that Kazuha was such a pain in the ass that he would listen to the beat of my scissors in the greenhouses, and if I was doing this, he would scream at me that I was going too fast. He was a real prick. But he was a great teacher. So 5 years with Kazuha, I met a man named Dan Robinson. We're going to go real fast forward. I said also earlier, I said that I felt like I was doing like oil paintings of still lifes for like 5, 6, 7 years, and then I met Matisse. This guy, Dan, blew me away, introduced me to power tools, introduced me to collected trees, totally different style of how to do bonsai. I literally moved from New York City to here to be closer to that guy. So that's the story. That's how I got into bonsai. I had a karate teacher. We made fun of Ralph Macchio together. After making fun of Ralph Macchio, I was like, those things were really cool. I'd like to go check them out. That's how it started. Nothing other than that. So bonsai is a three-dimensional art. That means that at every perspective, the piece should look interesting to you. It's a sculpture. It changes. It's never finished. These are all kind of bottom line things. I don't consider it a craft. I do think it's artistic. So that's me. It's like not a debate that I have fun having any longer. Some fundamentals of trees. We know what trees look like. We viscerally understand that trees are smaller on the bottom and get tapered to the top. That's what trees look like. The proportion that trees grow in, you also viscerally understand, because if you look at a tree, you'll know that this is a defect. We see that it's kind of thicker here than it is here. Our eye goes to that and says, that ain't right. We're talking about proportion here. Trees have branches that tend to go down in age, and they tend to get all twisted and gnarly. Let's remember the Sierra Nevadas. Or let's remember Snoqualmie Pass. You will see those tall trees, but their branches twist and undulate and curve, and it's math. It's awesome. So for all the nerds here, there's math in trees. So this is a spiraling Fibonacci series, and it is, and trust me, it is, okay? And then there are trees that are exactly the proportions of the Julia set, right? And that's encoded genetically, and I just get such a kick out of that stuff. So why did I say that when I said branches twist and gnarl and go? Okay, here's why. Because if you kill a bud, you change the math. You just drop something out of the equation, and it's going to do what's called, I love this word, phototrophication, which means it's going to grow to the sun. So you'll kill a bud, maybe ice will shear it off, maybe an avalanche, something. And it'll change the direction, and it'll grow to the sun, and something will happen. And it'll change direction, then grow to the sun, and then something will happen. It could be a beetle, it could be a bird, it could be anything. That comes from age, and it takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. The coolest, twistiest, gnarliest trees in the world are those ones that are 2,000, 3,000 years old. The shit that gives you altitude sickness when you go look at them, you know? So, yes?
What was that? Photovoltaification, is that correct?
Phototrophication. Photo, light, tropis, to move.
Phototropism?
Phototropism. Yeah. Moving towards the light. There's trees on Grey Wolf Ridge in the Olympic Mountains that we call walking trees, right? They grow in a crack up here, and it's so brutal. It's like so brutal. The wind is always like 50 knots that they get sheared off and they grow down the cliff face. And when they hit a new crack, they layer again and make new roots. Then these die. And then that takes 500 years. Then this one dies. And then there's another patch. And that's another 5,000 years. So you've got the oldest living thing in the state of Washington is an Alaskan cedar on Grey Wolf Ridge. It's 3,000 years old. And you can see where it walked down the cliff. It just walks